Hello everyone, welcome back to another lecture on Writings on Contemporary Issues. Today we are moving on to the next chapter, chapter 8, titled The Globalization of Inequality, written by P. Sainath. P. Sainath, he is an Indian journalist who published this article titled The Globalization of Inequality in 2004. We can see in his articles, he focuses on social and economic inequality, rural affairs, poverty, and the consequences of globalization in India. So, these are the key points that we can usually find in his writings. Economic inequality. What is inequality? സമത്വമില്ലായ്മ. It has been a long time the people they are raising their voice for equality, social equality, political equality, economic equality, isn't it? Based on one's caste, color, economic status, political affiliation, there are discrimination happening in the society. But with the passage of time, the entire world has progressed. With the advent of machines, everything has started to change. Earlier times, there was a discrimination based on caste, based on color. But now, that kind of discrimination is illegal. There are many rules were amended or implemented to ensure the equality. We have human rights law. But here, he's saying that in the era of globalization, there exists an inequality. Look at the title, The Globalization of Inequality. This writer, P. Sainath, he has won many accolades and he was the first reporter in the world to win Amnesty International Global Human Rights Journalism Prize in the inaugural year in 2000. So, this is what he is focusing, how in the world of globalization people are suffering, what are their problems. So, before we move on to the article, let's see what is globalization. Unless you have an idea of globalization, it will be quite difficult for you to follow this article. Globalization. The growing interdependence of the world's economies, cultures, and populations by trade in goods and services, technology, and flows of movement, investment, people, and information. So, this is the definition of globalization. I know you didn't understand anything. It is the growing interdependence of the countries. We know that in this world that is globe, in this world there are number of nations. Take the example of India. India is a developing country. But India can't exist without the help of external agencies or external nations. Nowadays, we have been using a lot of gadgets. And if you want to move from one place to another, we have to depend upon transportation facilities. Even if we own a car, from where will you get the fuel? The one thing is the fuel price is increasing nowadays. Okay, let's keep that aside. But if you want those needful objects or things which are useful in our day-to-day life, we have to depend other nations. Similarly, other nations are depending us too. So there is a mutual cooperation among the nations across the world. So, globalization means the entire world is standing under a single umbrella. ഈ ലോകം മൊത്തം ഒരു കുടക്കീഴിൽ എന്ന കോൺസെപ്റ്റാണ് ഗ്ലോബലൈസേഷൻ. Nowadays, our ancestors, suppose your grandfather or grandmother, even my own grandfather or grandmother, they used to say that in our days this was not like this. Suppose sometimes they comment upon our dressing style or the food habits, isn't it? നമ്മൾ എപ്പോഴും വെസ്റ്റേൺ ഡ്രസ്സസ് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നു, അല്ല വെസ്റ്റേൺ ചൈനീസ് ഫുഡ്സ് കഴിക്കുന്നു, നൂഡിൽസൊക്കെ. നമ്മുടെ ഗ്രാൻഡ് പേരൻസിൻ്റെ സമയത്ത് എന്താണ്, അവർ കപ്പയും ചക്കയൊക്കെ കഴിച്ചാണ് ജീവിച്ചത്. പക്ഷെ അതിനോടൊപ്പം തന്നെ നമ്മൾ എന്താണ്, ഇപ്പം ചൈനീസ് ക്യൂസീൻ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇറ്റാലിയൻ ഡിഷസ് ഒക്കെ നമ്മൾ കഴിക്കാറുണ്ട്. സം പീപ്പിൾ ദേ പ്രിഫർ ദാറ്റ്. They say that, oh, I like Italian cuisine, I don't like Indian foods. This is how they respond. But I am totally against that opinion, because we don't want to reject our food, even if we are preferring some other foods. Okay. Anyway, that's up to them. അപ്പോൾ എന്താണ്, എങ്ങനെയാണ് നമ്മൾ ഈ ചൈനീസ് ക്യൂസീൻസുമായിട്ട് അക്വൈൻറ്റഡ് ആയത്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ നമ്മൾ എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഇറ്റാലിയൻ ക്യൂസീൻസ് നമ്മൾക്ക് ഇഷ്ടപ്പെടുന്നത്? അപ്പം എന്താണ്, ഈ ഒരു കോപ്പറേഷനെല്ലാം നമ്മൾ ട്രാവൽ ചെയ്യുന്നു. അപ്പോൾ എല്ലാ മേഖലയിലും, ഇൻവെസ്റ്റ്മെൻറ്റിലായാലും പീപ്പിളിലായാലും ഹ്യൂമൻ റിസോഴ്സ്, വി നോ ദാറ്റ് ദർ ആർ മെനി ഇന്ത്യൻസ് who have been working in abroad. So people, information, everything is sharing among themselves. So there is a interdependence. So that is what is known as globalization, the economic partnership between countries that we can see. So this interdependence, it benefits society as a whole while harming certain groups. See, you know that if you take a coin, it has two sides. Similarly, the globalization has both advantages and disadvantages. The advantages, the whole society is benefited because of the globalization. But at the same time, certain groups, a minority, is facing the bad effects of globalization. What is that bad effects? What it might be? Do you have any idea? Don't worry, this is what we are going to see in this article. We know, in early days, we have barter systems. Later, local markets emerged. What is barter system? Exchanging things among ourselves. If you have rice with you, you will exchange the rice with your neighbor, and you will get barley or wheat from them. So whatever they have, they will exchange among themselves. And after some period, there emerged local markets. So all the people will commence in a local markets, and there they will exchange their things. But with the advent of technology and transportation, the exchanges, these exchanges widespread. So in 19th century, it marked the outbreak of globalization. In 19th century, the concept of globalization emerged. The first wave of globalization was propelled by steamships, railroads, the telegraph, etc. With the advent of steamships and railroads, it was easy for the people to transport the goods among states or among countries, etc. So gradually, it helps the people to improve their standard of living. The standard of living of the poor and less developed countries has increased because with the advent of globalization, they have provided with job opportunities, modernization, etc. So these are some of the benefits I have mentioned. But here, P. Sainath, he would like to discuss how the globalization is creating inequality in the nation. He is writing this article from the point of view of an Indian, how the globalization rising inequality in Indian society. That is what he is trying to explore through this article. So, what is your opinion? Is there any inequality existing in our nation? Have you ever noticed anything? Here, before we move on to the article, they have given us some exercises. The first one is to enrich your vocabulary. Vocabulary means enriching your word knowledge. The first question they have given is, before you read the text, what you have to do? You have to discuss with your partner and what is globalization means. And list 5 words often used in the context of globalization. Here they have said, before you read. But I am assigning you a classwork that all of you just go through the article and write down what do you understand as globalization, and list out 5 or 6 words in connection with globalization. That is the first question. The second one, list a few phrases you have come across that indicate the link between globalization and social inequality. When you go through this article, you can find a few phrases, at least find a phrase, a single phrase. Then name in 3 diseases that are linked with the consequences of globalization. Oh my God, consequences of globalization rises disease in the society. So actually, is it happening? Yes, it is. Let's see what it is. So, before we move on to the article, I'm assigning a small work to all the students. That is none other than go through this article and answer these questions. And where will you answer the questions? You have to answer these questions in the comment box. Okay, I have attached this PDF and this video lecture in the Google Classroom. In the comment box, you have to type your name, your class, and after that, write the answers of these questions. So, marking of the answers will be considered for your attendance for this particular session. With this, I'm winding up today's session. Thank you for listening patiently.